Welcome back to another video. As you guys know, we've been discussing how to create an online web application from scratch. So today's task is to program the single product view page by including sellers information. So in the previous video we designed this page. If you want to know how we do that, please make sure to watch it. So this is our designed page. In the about the skill section, the description of the skill is given over here. The skill is the skill ID 1. So skill with ID 1. Let's check our database for it. So this is our skill over here. Let me go to the product table. So this is our skill over here, which is the title UI UX design mastery. So the description, learn modern design principles, that is included there. So if I change this, that will also change in a short period. Let me add some words to this sentence. So now if we go back to our web page, you can see it gets updated. So next we have what's included. So the included items are over here, and below that we have the reviews. So right now we have 4 reviews. So to confirm that, let's go to our database again and let's go to the feedback table. So over here, the product ID 1, there are 4 reviews given by 4 users. So you can see the date the review has been given and the review of this particular user, which is 4 reviews. We have got 4 reviews and this user's reviews is 3-star. So below that we have the More by Sahan Pereira section. So the the seller is Sahan Pereira in this instance. So these are the other 3 skills listed by him. Let's verify that by our database. So if we go to our product table, so seller ID 3 is Sahan. So you can see 4 skills are listed by him. So right now we are viewing the UI UX design mastery. Next we have mobile development, professional video editing and product pics. So let's go to our web application. So those 3 are mentioned over here. So on the right side we have the price of the product for the skill listed. So here it's 24,999. Let's go to the database. So let's change the price and confirm. So let me make it as 25,999. We go back and reload. Our price changes to 25,999. So we will be discussing about the cart and the watch list in future videos. So over here we have the level beginner, students enrolled, for now it's 0, and the ratings, there are 4 reviews, and this added on February 26th. Next we have the instructor on Pereira. So we confirm that the 4 courses are listed by him, and we have 3 ratings for this, and 0 students. So let's check out how did we do this. Let's go to our code. So this is our product review.php file. So I have checked whether a session is created. If not, create a session. And these were discussed in the previous video. Make sure to watch that. So I have created a variable called $P and given a search query for it. So in the search query I have taken everything or every item from the product table and the name of the categories as cat name and first name, last name, and the ID as SID from the user table, and the created date from the user table as sjoined. So for that I have joined the category table and the user table for the product table. So I have set to take those items where the ID of the product and matches the ID of the product that the user gives. So we have made sure that the status of the product is active. If not, we do not get a result. So next we have given an if condition and check whether if we do not get a result from the $P query, search query, or the numbers returned are 0. So if either one condition is satisfied, I have set to change the page to the search product.php. And then I have assigned the result to an associated array and reassigned it to the variable called $P. So for the statistics section, I created a variable called $RS. So this code segment over here is responsible for the statistics. So I have created a variable name called $RS and given it a search query. So here I have taken the average rating as R and I have taken count of all items as C from the feedback table, where the product ID matches the ID given by the user. and I have assigned the result to an associative array. So the array is held by the variable name called $s. So same thing with the $sc. So here I have given a search query again and taken the count of the unique user IDs as C from the order table, where the product ID matches the ID given by the user again, and assigned it to an associative array and held that array by the variable name called $sc. So next again I had taken R from the array $rs. So R means the average rating, and check whether we get a result from that. So if we have a result for the R in the associative array, then I set to round that average rating to the nearest first decimal place and keep that value as the value for the variable name called $average R, avgr. So if we did not get a result for the $rs are indexed to a result, then I have to take the value as 0 to the value of the variable called avgr. So next I have created another variable called revc and taken the result. So next I have created another variable called revc and taken the result of the array item C, which is the count of all items from the feedback table, and I have converted it into an integer and assigned that value to the variable name revc. Same way another variable is created called stuc, which is student count, and taken the array item C indexed as C from the array called $sc as the value for that variable. So this section is relevant for the reviews. So over here I have given a search query and taken all items from the feedback table and the first name and the last name from the user table, where the product ID matches the ID given by the user. Next I have created another array which is empty called $reviews and given a while statement and added the items which we get from the search query to the array called $reviews. Next we have the seller statistics section over here. So again I have given a search query and taken the unique ID count from the product table as TC and the total count of user IDs from the order table and average rating from the feedback table as TR, where the seller ID matches the ID provided by the user, or the seller's ID of the product that the user view, and the status should be active. And then I have assigned them to an associative array. So that array is held by the variable name called $ss. So for next we have the related section over here. This section is responsible for fetching the other skills listed by the same seller. So here I have given a search query and taken the ID, title, image URL, price and the level from the product table and the average rating from the feedback table and AR, where the seller ID equal to the ID of the seller of the skill chosen by the user, and the product ID matches, and the product ID does not equal to the product ID chosen by the user. The status should be active. So if all three conditions are satisfied, then the result will be held. And that result is assigned to the variable called $rel_q. Next, I have created another array called related, which is an empty array, and I have given a while statement. So from the while statement, I have inserted each value of the array, each value of the search query to the array called related. So here the purchase section is there. I have created a variable called $bought and assigned the value as false to it. And by an if condition, I have checked whether is a seller logged in. And there is an ID for the variable called $user ID. Then I have created another variable called BQ and given it a search query. So I have taken the ID from the product order table, where the product ID matches the product selected by the user, and the user ID matches the user's ID. So then next I have checked whether if we get a result from the above search query and the numbers returned from that search query is above 0. So if so, I have set to reassign the result to $bought variable name. So over here we have the watch list area. So in the watch list, I have created a variable same as before called in watch list and assigned the value as false for it. And by giving an if condition, I have checked whether is a user logged in. If so, I have set to take the IDs from the watch list table, where the product ID matches the ID of the product selected by the user, and the user ID matches the relevant user. So then the result from the search query is assigned to the variable called $wq. So next, as before, I have reassigned the result to the variable called in watch list if there is a result returned. So this is the cart section. So same as before, I have created a variable called in cart and assigned it the value false by an if condition. I have checked whether a user is logged in. If so, I have created another variable called $CQ and given it a search query. And I have taken the IDs from the cart table, where the product ID matches the product's ID and the user ID matches the relevant user's ID. And if we get a result from the above search query, then I have set to assign that result to the already created variable $in_cart. So I have created a variable called seller name to get the seller name. So from the array we created above called $P, I have taken the first name and kept a space in the middle and concatenated the last name for it. So if we scroll down below, in the hero section, I have given an if condition over here and check whether we get a result or we have a result stored in the query array called $P. As under the item image URL as the index of it. If so, I have set to create this img tag and give the src attribute value as the value stored in the $P image URL. So next we have the breadcrumb area. So here I have checked whether is a category there for the product. If so, I have set to display this anchor tag in the breadcrumb area. So for the value of the href attribute, I have given the search products.php and I have passed appended the category ID as cat equals category ID, and the name of the category is displayed as the clickable link. Next, the badge section. Inside the span tag, I have echoed the level of the relevant product and the category name if there is any, and if the user has purchased or enrolled to the skill listed by the seller, then I have set to echo the enrolled option. Next we have the title of the product in an H1 tag, and in the quick stats section for the average rating, if we have a result, if we have a value for the variable called avgr, then I set to echo that value. If not, I set to echo the string called new. So below that I have echoed the value held by the variable called $revc, which is review count, and below that again I have echoed the value held by the variable called stuc, which is student count. So you can display the student count enrolled in that particular skill. And next I have displayed or echoed the seller name, which we created above. It contains the first name and the last name of the seller, and the date is also echoed. So the format is month and year only. So in the description section I have echoed the description of the relevant product, and in the what's included section I have echoed the value of the variable called $f. So that's for the items included in the course section. And in the review section I have echoed the average rating of the product. So if there is no rating, I have set to echo the dash to symbolize there's no ratings yet. So below that I have echoed the value of the variable called revc as the review count. So if the review count is 1, I have set to omit the s. If the review count is not 1, then I have set to add s for the name review. Next, if we have reviews, I have set to create a variable called $name and given the value. So if we have a first name and the last name of the person given the review, then I have set to display that. If not, I have set to display anonymous. And for the variable called init, I have got the first name of the person who has given the review and taken the first letter of the first name and the last name and convert them to uppercase characters and display the first and last characters as the icon or the profile image of the person who has given the review. So below that we have the date which the skill was listed over here, and the rating is also displayed below, which we saw in the web application earlier. So this section is being explained right now, and the message is also displayed if there is a message. So for the related skill section, if there are any related skills, then I have set to display this division tag over here inside the if condition. So in that I have displayed the seller name, and I have echoed or displayed each item separately with their relevant IDs and the images of the skills listed and the level of the skill listed and the title and the price. So in the CTA card section, I have checked whether there is any value given contained by the array called $p indexed under image URL. So I have to display this div tag which contains the image URL for the image displayed. Next we have the price displayed. So for the status, if a user has purchased the listed skill, then I am set to display already enrolled. If not, I am set to display enroll now, the button or the anchor tag enroll now. so that the user can enroll. So if the user is not logged in, then I set to display the anchor tag over here, which says sign in to enroll. And they have two separate buttons for the add to cart button and watch list. So instead else I have given if the user has not purchased the skill, or if the user is a buyer. If the user has not purchased the skill, if the user is not a buyer, or if the user has not logged in, then I set to display this division which says sellers cannot enroll. And below it we have the meta information of the product listed. So the level of the product is displayed from the array called $P, and the number of students enrolled are also displayed. And for the rating, if the average rating is above 0, then I set to display the average rating. /5. If the average rating is below 0 or equal to 0, then I set to display the text no reviews yet. And the date that the seller has listed the skill is echoed over here. So below that we have the instructor card where the instructor's information are mentioned. So we have the first name, the first letter of the first name of the instructor displayed. Next we have the seller name, which contains the first name and the last name. And by an if condition I have checked whether is there a date that the seller joined in our database in our product table. If there is a value for it, then I have to output that date. And below that we can display the total count of the courses listed by the relevant seller and the total students that are enrolled, and finally we can display the rating provided or given to that relevant product. So here, if the user is logged in and the user is only a buyer, then I set to display the anchor tag message instructor. So the user could message the relevant skill lister. And finally we have a script tab open here, and I created a function called stars. So this function basically outputs the number of stars given as the rating. So if a person has given 3 out of 5 rating, then 3 stars should be full and the other 2 stars are empty. So that winds up our session.